Everyone is telling you to reinvent yourself in 2026. New habits, new routines, new branding, new identity. But what if the reason why nothing has worked for you so far is because you never needed to reinvent yourself in the first place? What I want to talk about today is not strategy, it's not productivity, it's not doing more. Before we plan 2026, there is one thing that needs to happen first. Because if you skip this, you will repeat the same patterns just with better, smarter languaging. You have to recover who is actually running your business. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that most people never say out loud. You are not exhausted from working hard. You are exhausted from performing a version of you that was never you to begin with. You invested in messaging programs that told you what to say. You invested in branding programs that told you how to look. You invested in content programs that told you how to show up. And underneath it all was the quiet belief that I am not enough as I am. Most of what people call expansion last year was not really expansion. It was insecurity with better language. And when insecurity is running the system, nothing compounds. This is why so many capable people feel busy, productive, and exhausted, and yet strangely stuck. Here's a question that exposes that immediately. Who are you trying to be last year, and who are you actually being most of the time? And what did staying in that gap protect you from feeling or risking? Later in the video, I'll show you how identity gets reinforced in real time, not imagined. But before we go any further, this video is not for everyone. This is not for people who use self-work as a way to opt out of responsibility. If every time something goes wrong, you blame your chart, your past, your energy, or the timing, this video is going to feel very uncomfortable. That's intentional. This is for high agency people. People who are already doing the work, but feel that something is fundamentally misaligned. And if that's you, keep watching. Let me give you an example. A client came to me convinced that her problem was execution. She prided herself on her speed, fast decisions, fast content, fast implementation. And at one point, we simply laid out all her content side by side. Everything that actually converted was created off schedule, not during her productive windows. It happened when she slowed down, when she walked, when she lay down, when she gave herself space to integrate. And she said something that stopped the room. When I act too fast, I amputate my own depth. I trade resonance for relief. That wasn't a productivity issue. That was an identity mismatch. And that is the real problem. Capable people lose self-trust. They borrow speed, they borrow tone, they borrow cadence, they borrow confidence. Another client spent years overthinking her niche and nothing stuck. But when we mapped out where people leaned in and responded, it was obvious. She was wired around family, relationships, and trust. But she suppressed her natural leadership because she thought authority needed to look harsher. When she owned being a gentle authority, her content landed immediately. She didn't reinvent herself. She just stopped diluting herself. Recovery amplifies responsibility. It doesn't remove it. Most advice for 2026 gets this wrong. You don't need a new identity. You need to retire the one that kept you safe but is now costing you dearly. The achiever identity, the helper identity, the performer identity. A client of mine said it beautifully. I built my whole life around surviving, not choosing. That version may have gotten you till here, but it cannot lead you forward. And you need to grieve it. Because if you don't grieve an identity, you recreate it. The nervous system does not know the difference between losing a person and losing a self-concept. And here's a question that clarifies it real fast. What part of you has completed its job and cannot follow you into 2026? And what did it protect you from when you needed it the most? This is why every single year, before we touch strategy, I run an identity recalibration with my clients every year, because identity drifts quietly. And the rule is simple: no new strategy until identity is clear. Let me make this concrete. In 2013, when I hired my first body recomp coach, Jerry Ward, I lost a significant amount of weight. And I noticed something very uncomfortable. I was wearing and used to wearing black every single day. Not because I liked it, but because I was hiding. So I didn't try to feel confident. I replaced my entire wardrobe with white. I made the old identity extremely inconvenient to maintain. Same with food. When I started eating clean, I removed all the junk food from my house and replaced it with healthy, eating options. I didn't trust motivation, I trusted friction, because that's enforcement. And this is why real alignment is subtractive. Fewer systems, cleaner standards, less negotiation with yourself. Optimization assumes the foundation is correct. Alignment asks whether it ever was. All the questions I'm referring to here are part of an identity shift worksheet and a full set of prompts. They walk you through naming the identity that ran you last year, the cost of keeping it, and the enforcement rule that protects what is true. And I'm going to link all of them down below. You can download them, and if you really want to do this work properly, you can start there. Now, if you want 2026 to be different, hold this standard. No new strategy until identity is stable. No scaling until signal is clear. No optimization until you trust yourself again. What will the 2026 version of you no longer tolerate? And what does enforcement of that look like in practice? This is also why I built something called the Alignment Architect. It's an AI system that I built to help my clients with this exact identity recalibration process. Not to tell someone who to become, but to reflect patterns, decision-making styles, and identity drift clearly without emotion or self-deception. Every year inside my inner circle and one-on-one, we use it to pressure test identity before we touch strategy. Because when identity is clean, strategy becomes obvious. And when identity is distorted, no strategy holds. You don't need it to start. The worksheets and prompts that I listed below are enough to begin this work honestly. This is how I support it at a deeper level with clients. You don't need to reinvent yourself in 2026. You need to recover the version of you that was never meant to perform. Grief what kept you safe. Enforce what is true. Subtract what was never yours to begin with. And if you do this honestly, you will not feel motivated. You will feel relieved. And relief is what creates sustained momentum. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.